In this lesson, we will see what an EBS or Elastic Block Storage Volume is. We have seen that when we use an instance and we turn it off or terminate it manually, we lose our storage space or hard disk. Accidental terminations may also occur from time to time. At that time, you will receive an email alert from AWS. We can also need to store data related to our instances in a punctual way and thus have a storage medium independent from our instances. An EBS or Elastic Block Store Volume is a network volume that we can attach to our instances on the fly. You have to imagine it as a USB key on the network. This allows instances to have persistent data. The EBS volume itself is a network resource. It's not a physical hard disk attached to your instance. It uses the network to communicate with the instances, which means there may be some latency when using an EBS volume. It can be detached or attached to another instance very quickly. EBS volumes are bound to an availability zone, which means that the same EBS volume cannot be used on two availability zones at the same time. You can't retouch, so there you go. Let's take the example of a EU West 1A zone. We will not be able to attach any volume from this zone to the other zone, EU West 1B. In order to move a volume, it's necessary to take a snapshot of it upstream, and then restore it in another availability zone. We can increase the capacity in terms of disk space in giga or tera, but also increase the number of input and output operations per second. We have to be very careful because we are built according to the capacities supplied. If I supply 30 gigas and only consume 1 giga out of the 30, I will pay for the 30 gigas. The size of the volume can be increased over time as well as the input and output operations. The idea is that for EBS volumes, it's to start small and grow as storage needs increase over time. An example of the use of our EBS volumes between several zones. So here we have a zone with our 3 EC2 instances. So the first one is attached. It has an EBS volume of 10 gigas attached. Our second instance has two attached volumes, one of 100 gigas and one of 50 gigas. And our third instance has no EBS volume attached. In our second zone, we will have two instances. One will have a volume of 50 gigas attached and the other will have nothing. What we have to understand here is that our three volumes here can be exchanged and reassigned to the different instances of the same zone, but that cannot be used by the instances of another availability zone. We'll see later on how to move a volume to another availability zone. The different types of EBS volumes. There are four types of EBS volumes. The GP2, which is dedicated to general purpose use with a good balance between punch and performance and is suitable for a wide variety of workloads. The IOI1 is a very high-performance SSD, ideal for critical tasks requiring very low latency or very high throughput in terms of disk writing. The STI is a low-cost hard disk ideal for tasks requiring frequent accesses with a high throughput, like big data, and with a high demand in terms of writing. An SCI, which is the cheapest disk, the cheapest volume type, is also ideal for big data tasks with less frequent disk access. Volumes can be characterized by their size, flow rate, input and output operations per second. If you are in doubt, I invite you to consult the AWS documentation, which is very complete on the subject, to know if you choose the right type of volume for your instances. And finally, you should know that only SSDs, GP2 and IO1 can be used as boot drives. You can only install a bootable operating system on these two types of EBS volume.